What's up, comic fans? Hope everyone's doing real well today. It's Mike from the Hardcover Comic. Today, I wanted to talk about 5 more comic short stories. These are sort of little hidden gems that I found over my years of collecting hardcovers and reading stories in general. Maybe some of them aren't as hidden as I think they are, but I haven't heard people talk about them, so I'm going to talk about them. And this is part 2. Part 1 I did about a week ago. I'll leave a link down in the description below so if you want to check that out. Let's dive in. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe. We post content daily, live streams, comic reviews, comic overviews, all sorts of stuff. Be sure to hit that like button as well. It really helps us out a lot. If you're interested, one of our sponsors is Dr. Squatch. They are a soap and men's healthcare product company. They basically, you'll have a subscription. They'll bring it to your door, and you'll have soap every month. They have new scents all the time. There's a new one every month from what I know. I think this month is a cold brew, which is pretty cool. Matt got that one and he says it smells like an iced mocha, and he's very excited to smell like an iced mocha all day. So check out Dr. Squatch with the link down in the description below. You'll get free shipping on your order, thanks to the Hardcover Comic and the awesome folks at Dr. Squatch. There's also a link down there for our Patreon where we're basically giving away hardcover comics at the end of every month, a deluxe, omnibus, absolute throughout the month. We give away digital codes as well when we get our monthly series. Unfortunately, now we have been able to, but soon we should be able to, so that'll be cool. Check that out if you are interested. Now, let's talk about 5 stories that I recommend for people trying to get a little bit of a break from their long runs, something, you want to spice things up a little bit, try a new story. I've got some hidden gems for you. The first book I want to talk about is Starlight by Mark Millar. Last time I talked about Nemesis, a 4-issue mini he did with Steve McNiven. This time Starlight is a 6-issue miniseries he did with Goran Parlov. I always mess that last name up. But 6 issues. It was a great little miniseries that he published through Image Comics. It follows a character named Duke McQueen, who was once an Air Force pilot and wound up being transported essentially to an alien planet. He did a whole bunch of crazy stuff there, and came back, and no one believed him. He didn't have any proof or anything, and his kids grew up not believing him. His wife was the only person who really believed him. And at the start of the story, we find ourselves basically at the funeral of his wife, who passed away as a result of cancer, and we see him basically get recruited back by this world, Tantalus, which is this alien world, and someone comes to visit him, recruits him to come and help the people of Tantalus out again. There's a new dictatorship that's taken over, and they need his help. It's a great little story. It's a quick read. It doesn't take very long, but it's a great little story about a guy getting out of retirement and sort of dealing with his depression and his loneliness and all the mistakes he's made throughout his life, and sort of trying to atone for them in the way that he can. It's really great. It's a great emotional roller coaster. It's Mark Millar again. He's a little hit or miss for me. Sometimes I'll really dig a book he does. Sometimes I'll absolutely hate it. And this one was great because there wasn't too much shock value. It was just a really good feel good story. That was with fantastic artwork by Goran. It's incredible. 6 issues only, so you're getting a full story in 6 issues, and it's really a great change of pace. So if you're looking for something a little more lighthearted, fun action adventure with emotional draws as well, it's really great. I absolutely love it. Starlight by Mark Millar gets 2 thumbs up from me. All right, this next one is not as much of a feel-good title. It is called No Hero. It is by Warren Ellis and Juan Jose Rip, published by Avatar Press, which typically deals with very mature and adult books. Definitely not something you want your kids to ever pick up. It's basically what we're doing here is there's a team of superheroes that was formed in the United States, and I think it was like the late 70s in this book. And they eventually evolved to become the front line. And what this team does is they're normal people who have taken this drug, FX7, that essentially elevated them and gave them superpowers. And so, they're a very secretive group. They're not expanding greatly. FX7 does not become open to the general public, so it's not like everyone's becoming a hero. But you start to see other nations and how they react to this, trying to copy the formula, get their hands on the formula, and you see how that affects the team. But you also see this new character step into play, and he wants to essentially become a hero. He tries to get the attention of the front line, and he does, and things really spiral from there. I mean, it's a really crazy story. Warren Ellis, is always trying to shake things up a little bit. taking a sort of darker look on superheroes. If they were a little more realistic, kind of the things they would do. Uh, Making ties with people they shouldn't make ties with, and um, corrupting a system in a super powered way. It's really, really well done. Juan Jose Rip's artwork is incredible. It's a very gory and violent book, extremely detailed too in that aspect, which is great for me as an adult. I enjoy it once in a while, but it's not for everyone. This is an 8-issue mini. You can, I think, read the first issue on Comixology for free, if I'm not mistaken. It's not a full length issue, but you get a little taste of what you're going to get into, and it's great. It's great. Again, you don't really know what to expect, and again, it's Warren Ellis, so he puts everything on its head, right? And he twists things around a little bit. It's awesome. As far as I'm aware, you can obviously pick up the single issues for the book. You can get this hardcover, which I think is pretty available. It says it's limited to 2,000 copies, but I've never seen it for crazy high prices. I picked this up half off at my local comic shop. Again, collects 8 issues. I'm sure there's a trade paperback out there too if you're interested, but check out the first issue on Comixology and go from there. The next book is a perfect example of writers being able to create a story without making you explore an entire universe in order to understand it. It is My Heroes Have Always Been Junkies. This is a book by Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips. It's sort of a little spin-off from the Criminal series, a little OGN that they did that ties into the main Criminal series, which I have never read in its entirety. I'm not reading the newest volume that they've been working on together, so I don't know all the details. Maybe these characters do show up in other books. I'm sorry, I don't know. It feels that way, though. It definitely feels like there's a connection within the characters and the storyline itself. The story here follows a character named Ellie and a character named Skip. They're both in basically a rehab, trying to get off of drugs. They've been put there by a loved one or a family member, or someone who needs them to get clean. And basically it follows them around and really in the way that they go through this rehab. And Ellie is a character that's she doesn't want to be there. She doesn't think she has a drug problem, and she doesn't necessarily think that having or taking drugs is a problem in general. And it's appropriately named, right? She starts talking about all of her heroes growing up, all these musicians she would listen to, or actresses, actors, all these iconic people that have really done amazing works of art, but have also been prone to drug use, right? A lot of names, like Bowie comes to mind, but it's really cool because it's sort of an exploration of the idea of drugs. Of course, drugs are not good. If you're a kid, do not do drugs. There's no need to, but there's a little bit of a mystery and a mysticism around the idea of these incredible artists who revolutionized music and were able to bring a sense of soul to music, all being sort of junkies. There is a little bit of an interesting connection there. Again, I'm not saying anything's necessarily good or bad, but it is something to definitely think about. And thanks to this book, it is something I thought about. But it follows these two characters. Skip is genuinely trying to get off of drugs, and Ellie is a bad influence. So I don't want to give away too many of the details as to what happens. There is a great twist ending, and it's a really heartbreaking book. This is, it's Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips doing their crime noir thing. It's the closest thing you'll get to a Martin Scorsese movie on paper. It's absolutely beautifully rendered. The artwork by Sean Phillips is beautiful. I apologize, I don't know who did the colors now, but I really should because it's stunning as well. Jacob Phillips, I loved it. I loved the vibrant colors that were used to sort of try and make the atmosphere a little more welcoming, but it's a very dark and sort of gloomy book with some very interesting ideas in it, and a great, again, exploration of characters and people and experiences and life stories, right? And how weird this world is, right? Especially relative to drugs. It's really cool. Again, not for kids at all. This is definitely a book for adults, and if you're a fan of Criminal, it's a no-brainer. It's right up your alley. Next hidden gem I wanted to talk about is a title called Solstice. This is written by Stephen T. Siegel with artwork by Moritat. Stephen T. Siegel has done a whole bunch of work pretty much for all companies at this point. I mean, it seems that way anyway. He did quite a few things at DC and Vertigo, especially with like House of Mystery. He did some stuff with Wildcats as well, a couple issues here or there, a Grifter one-shot. But yeah, he did House of Whispers. He did Sandman Mystery Theater with Matt Wagner, and then at Marvel he did about 15 issues of Uncanny X-Men. He's done quite a bit. He's got a pretty solid bibliography, and Solstice is part of that. So Solstice was published in 1995. I forget the company that published it first, but it was 2 issues that was the entirety of the story. And now Image Comics most recently reprinted it in this deluxe edition format that you see in front of me here. And it's a wonderful story. It's definitely a huge hidden gem. It's only 2 issues, so it's not an incredibly long story. You'll probably finish it in a sitting, but it is fantastic. So this story is narrated by Hugh Waterhouse, who is the son of Russell Waterhouse, an eccentric, wealthy man who is dying of brain cancer. And essentially, they're trying to find the fountain of youth. It's his dad's mission, and he's there to help because it's his father. And it's a very, very powerful book. I've got to say, there's the way Stephen T. Siegel, he puts you in the mind of Hugh, since Hugh's narrating the story, and it keeps jumping from one place to another, a different part. One expedition, they'll look at the Canada expedition, then they'll look at the Russia one, and then they'll be talking about the Chilean one that they're on currently, and then it'll flash back to him as a young kid, and then to the end of the story where him and his dad are the only 2 people left. So it jumps all over the place. But what's really great about it is you're getting a sense of who Hugh is, because as all of this is happening, he'll get like a panel that he's already spoken about and be like, oh yeah, I already mentioned that, right? But you can sort of see the way the repetition works. You sort of get to understand how Hugh's brain works and why he is the way he is, because he's a broken character. He's a broken person. He's not, there are a lot of things that he does that I would never do or put up with, and you find out why, right? It's really, really, really well done. You get to see the relationship between Hugh and his father Russell throughout his entire life, pretty much, how his dad interacted with other people, with his mom, with his friends, and the way he treated him around other people. It's really, really powerful. And then of course you also get to see what happened between him and his dad when they're they have their moments alone. And it's definitely a book that will get you a little upset because some of the characters are scumbags in here, but it's really well done. I haven't seen too much of Moritat's artwork. I know he did some Hellblazer issues. I believe it was either at the very start of Rebirth or New 52, or near the end of New 52. I forget. I know he did some Hellblazer issues though, and I wasn't the biggest fan of his artwork in those. It had its moments, but I really enjoyed it here. I think he knocked it out of the park. And like I said, it's sort of an Indiana Jones. They're looking for the fountain of youth, with a lot of psychology and a lot of really intense character moments involved as well. I highly recommend checking it out. I don't know if a trade paperback's available, but this deluxe edition definitely is not hard to find as far as I'm aware. The last book I want to talk about is The Other Side, crafted by Jason Aaron and Cameron Stewart, both master storytellers. I'm a big fan of both of them. I really enjoy Jason Aaron's writing, and Cameron Stewart's artwork is incredible. His Instagram is amazing. But The Other Side, it's a story about the Vietnam War that they wrote quite a while ago. I think this is like a recollection of it. I don't even know if it was published at Image initially, but it was 6 issues long. And essentially what you're getting with the story is it follows a character in the U.S. military and a character in the Vietnam Liberation Army. And essentially as they come to clash with each other, right? You sort of see the different perspectives of this war. You see the American side where they don't want to go to war. They don't know what they're going to war for. You just get drafted. You're upset about it. You're doing everything you can to not get to fail the physical, to fail the psych tests, all of it, right? But and then you see the Vietnam side where they feel this pride, right? They're volunteering to go and join the People's Liberation Army, and there's a sense of pride in their religion and the fact that Buddha will guide them through all this, and the character starts remembering. He starts remembering, what happened in previous wars, and he would hear these stories, and you sort of see their perceptions at the start. You see their perceptions changing throughout the story as they go through all these trials and tribulations, dealing with gunshots, with being haunted by war itself while they're already, just getting started, right? It's pretty crazy to see, the different sides of things and how the perspectives are different. What's really cool about this title too is that Cameron Stewart actually went to Vietnam. So he took, he was there for research purposes. He probably enjoyed himself too, but I mean, he was taking photos, he was documenting things. He did a lot of research. I don't know if it was specifically for this book. It's all in the bonus content, which I have neglected, but you get to see photo references, all of it. It's really, really cool. It's all in the back of this hardcover, which you should still be able to pick up. It's $20 cover price, so you can probably get it for like $14. It's really great. I highly recommend checking it out. 6 issues long. It's the artwork's fantastic. The story's really great. It's definitely, again, not for kids, definitely for adults, but it's an interesting look at something that, I personally obviously have zero experience or knowledge about. The Vietnam War is not something I've ever been interested in. So it was really cool to see sort of an exploration of it, and the pawns that were used within it and what they had to go through. So definitely recommend The Other Side. Alrighty, there are 5 hidden gems comic short stories for you to check out in between your big, long Marvel and DC runs. Spice things up a little bit, try things out. I tried to, get a little bit from every kind of genre, different styles of storytelling as well. Let me know if you've read any of those books, if you enjoy them. I really want to know what your opinion is on them. And be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. We post content daily. We do live streams as well, comic reviews, comic overviews, a whole bunch of stuff. Obviously, now it's a bit of a tough time to get new releases, but that'll be coming soon. Hit that like button as well if you haven't already. It really helps us out a lot. And check out Dr. Squatch. They're a soap subscription company. They also do other men's healthcare and grooming products. Sanitizer as well now if you're interested in that, but it'll come to your door, and with the link down in the description below, it'll come to your door for free because you'll get free shipping with that link. There's also another link down there for our Patreon, where for as little as $1 you'll be basically, we do giveaways, right? We like to give stuff away, books that we do overviews on and whatnot. So every month we're going to be doing a giveaway. This past month was an Image Deluxe Edition, but could be a deluxe, could be an omnibus, could be an absolute. We'll see where things go. We also give away digital codes whenever we can, which again is a little tough now, but soon. Hope everyone's been doing well and staying safe. Thank you all very much for tuning in. This is Mike from the Hardcover Comic. As always, until next time, you stay classy, Internet.